Welcome in, traveler. Get ready to level up in fantasy football.
What the heck is happening, RPG Nation? Welcome into another episode of the Fantasy Football RPG Podcast. We got a full crew here, excited to have you guys back to talk some Week 1 NFL. Lots of stuff happened, guys. I'm sure we will get into the whole mess of things. But first and foremost, I want to welcome back a special guest we have for this episode, Preston Evans, aka WALLYCLARKS, the fantasy football homeboy, back at it again with the RPG podcast. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm cool. How you been, man?
Good. It's been a minute. We were talking a little bit pre-show. Last time we had you on, it was pre-season, and we were given some takes that we thought could happen. And a couple of your takes are looking pretty fire. That Puka Nacua, man, you were spot on there. It looks like.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping for my Desmond Ridder take to come aboard.
Yeah, that one's not looking as hot, but I mean, he had one reception, which is cool. But you know, it's a long season. He's gonna have chances. His first outing as the QB1 going into the season. I'm sure there's gonna be some speed bumps for him, but he's got a nice cast of characters, and as long as Arthur Smith can sort of, figure it out, the fact that he has some really, really good weapons there that he is just straight up not using, it could turn into a really good season for him, potentially. Yeah. So we'll keep our eye on that. But as always, or as most of the time, with me as well is FF Mike Cash Shuba in the house. We got Evan, EP Low, and Eric. You got to change your name, man. I almost started saying Arthur Smith, and then I'm like, that's not it. But we also have Eric, who is just being a total clown right now, having his display name be Arthur Smith Eats Hot Dog Sideways, which, I guess that's not the way. I guess that's not the way you want to do that. But I appreciate it. It's a good name. Anyway, guys, I want to take us into. We have a lot to talk about. We're gonna get into a little bit of pre-panic meter after this week 1. Talk some teams that didn't have the greatest showing and discuss whether or not we should be pre-panicking on them. Before that, we'll talk a little bit of injury news specifically. There were a lot of them, unfortunately. But before all that, I want to just go real quick, round robin. I had a question to ask all of you to, I get to know your personalities a little more based on your answers to, if you could choose to be any animal, what would you be? Or just favorite animal.
I've been waiting.
You're afraid of being labeled a furry. My answer, I think, is a pretty standard one, I guess. I don't know if it'll be super surprising, but I love the snow leopard. I'm a big snow leopard fan. I will actually donate to their conservation cause because I love those little guys so much. They remind me of my cats. So I'm a big snow leopard fan, and I think that would be my choice. And I'll just go in order that I see you guys here, and we'll take it to Mike next. What about you, Mike?
I've been training for this question since I was an 8-year-old. I would want to be a grizzly bear. I feel like I'm big, I'm cuddly, but I'm also mean if I need to be. So I would love to be a grizzly bear. Just the personification.
I can definitely see that.
And I know Eric wants to do that, so he has to pick a new animal, which is even better.
Did you just snipe Eric on animal choices? Eric's gone.
I've been doing it in drafts. I've been doing it on animal choices.
So we're going to have to do the show without Eric. Oh, there he is. I can see that. Snow leopard for me, grizzly bear for Mike. What about you, Evan?
Can I bring back the pterodactyl?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Pterodactyl. That's a hell of a choice.
That's different.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're thinking are you thinking how pterodactyls are portrayed in media mostly? Because I know realistically we've discovered fairly recently that they should be feathered and more bird-like. Are you more of a bird-like pterodactyl or an old school scaly guy?
Yeah, no, give me the old school scaly guy that just kind of soars up in the sky and can swoop down and pick up whole animals.
It really sucks. Like, I love dinosaurs too. It sucks that we've come to the conclusion that they're like feathered and bird-like because they're so much cooler as like straight up reptiles. So that's sad for me. But I like it. Okay,
till they come down and swoop you up.
Right. Then that's no good. You don't want that. All right, we'll just go. We'll go and take it to Preston next. What about you, man?
A hyena.
A hyena. Okay.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I'm weird, but I love how they communicate. I love the noise they make. Plus, the hyenas were my favorite character in The Lion King. The hyenas were so funny.
Heck yeah, dude! The original isn't that who are I?
Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah,
Preston, they were the bad guys in that movie. I need to remind you.
Yeah, but they were so funny though.
I think
Ed, all he did was laugh.
Me and Preston might be in the same category. I also like the bad guys. I'm an Empire guy for like Star Wars. I like the hyenas. I like Scar. So like I'm right there with you. But I like it. Hyena is another pretty unique one. Didn't expect that. Eric, can't choose bear. What do you got?
Well, I was going to choose grizzly bear because a very famous debate in our friend group that's been going on for 2 years is who would win in a fight, a grizzly bear or a silverback gorilla. It is clearly the grizzly bear. But I guess if I have to pick a second one, I would probably pick a cheetah because I kind of want to see what it would feel like to be as fast as Tyreek Hill, and that would be really cool.
That's fair.
He changed his name too.
Oh, he did.
Didn't he change it? Didn't he change it in the press conference this weekend?
Oh, wait, I can't remember what it was. Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah, I don't know what he changed it to.
He changed it something. I'll get back to you. I put it in the Discord.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be interested to know. I thought he was the cheetah. Wasn't that like his Twitter and everything? Interesting.
Yeah, he said he gave another animal.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I really want to know now. So let me know if you figure it out. But okay, that's very interesting. So to round it off, I was snow leopard, Mike was grizzly bear, much to Eric's chagrin. Evan with the pterodactyl, the old school scaly one. We had Mr. Preston with the hyena, and Eric with the cheetah. I can picture that. Silverback is winning. Sorry, Eric. That was a comment that just happened.
Incorrect. Incorrect.
All right, guys. Well, that was a fun little exercise. You guys feeling warm? You guys feeling loose? Ready to talk some football? Great. We got a lot to talk about here. Top of the list, right? Like biggest thing that we should probably get into here. Aaron friggin' Rodgers, Achilles rupture, 4 plays into Monday Night Football. Absolutely brutal. Can you even imagine being a Jets fan right now? Luckily, there are none here, and I'm sure none of us are like necessarily happy that Aaron Rodgers goes out this way. Eric might be happy that the bad man is gone, and Preston might be happy that his Patriots don't have to deal with Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, it's just no good, man. Like for me personally, like him or hate him, it's like a player of that caliber going out that way, career like in jeopardy at the very least, probably over with that type of injury. It's no good. It's not what you want to see. So very unfortunate. And now it's unfortunate for all of us because we have to watch Zach frickin' Wilson sling the football for 17 games. And I don't know if I'll watch a single Jets game this year, guys, which really sucks because I love Breece Hall. But I want to ask this, I guess, right off the top of the bat here. We'll kind of go with whoever feels frisky on this one. If you want to raise your hand, is there any quarterback that you think the Jets will bring in that could be the starter over Zach Wilson? Because it seems like they've committed to him just through what Saleh is saying. But I want to know if you guys have differing thoughts.
Well, I raised my hand before I heard the question, which is a terrible Jeopardy idea. No, nobody's going to come in this week and be the starter for the Jets or next week or the week after that. But if Zach Wilson looks terrible, like Carson Wentz is still floating around out there. Jacoby Brissett's on a bad team that probably doesn't really want him there that bad. Like Jameis Winston's still, cheap-ish.
That would be good.
That would be lovely for Garrett Wilson, but terrible for Robert Saleh's brand of offense. Like he wants to win games 10-6 and Jameis Winston wants to throw for 600 yards. So
Jameis does feel like best case scenario out of the choices that you've laid at our feet. I thought we threw Carson Wentz in the bin, so that can't be it.
I threw Zach Wilson in the bin. I think I put Zach Wilson in the bin, and then Carson Wentz is on top. So when I go to pick things out,
it kind of hides the smell.
Wentz was just the first thing that I grabbed while Wilson's still in there. But the Jets still have 5 primetime games. This feels like the Broncos last year. This is the Broncos last year.
You gotta imagine some of those get flexed out, right? Like, no.
Never know.
I mean, that defense is at least fun to watch, I guess. But watching that offense, I guess you can get excited for Breece Hall still. He looked electric. Like, he looked like an absolute star.
Smooth.
Coming off of an ACL. When I looked at my phone and I saw that he was like 3 carries for 111 yards, I was like, oh, we're back, baby. Breece never left. He's here. Let's go. So that was really cool to see. Eric, you want to chime in?
Yeah, so can I throw one more option out there that we didn't mention that I think would actually benefit both teams pretty well? What do you think about a Zach Wilson with a mid-pick swap for Davis Mills? I don't hate that, and it kind of gives them an option to see if something's there on a cheaper contract. And if he works out, they have something for the future. If Roger comes back, he's a decent backup. I don't know. I heard somebody throw that out there, and I didn't hate it.
Cheaper contract, maybe. But I can't see them like making the trade not knowing that if it's like a clear upgrade over Zach Wilson, which I don't know if we can really say if it is or isn't.
I would say that's an upgrade, personally.
Yeah. I'm the Davis Mills guy here, right? And I'm not so sure. But what'd you say, Preston?
That's it is an upgrade. I think Davis Mills is a better quarterback, more competent quarterback than Zach Wilson.
Okay. Yeah.
So it would be a slight one.
What about this? I saw floating around. I think this has been chiming for a couple years now, but I saw a story that Colin Kaepernick's agents were in contact with the Jets saying like he wants to come back to football, but he's wanted to come back to football for a couple of years now, and it hasn't happened. So probably not that.
Well, here's the thing with Colin Kaepernick. If he wanted to be playing football, he would be a backup on a roster right now. Like, he doesn't want to play football. He wants to be the starter immediately with none of the pre-work.
Right. Yeah, I think I agree with you there. Okay, well, besides that, I mean, when do we pour one out for Garrett Wilson? Are we at that stage already? Because I think it's going to be pretty sad, especially with how highly people were drafting him, how a lot of people were imagining he would sneak into that like wide receiver 3 in Dynasty kind of role. Seems like that's going to be pretty hard to do now with Zach Wilson and not Aaron Rodgers throwing him the football. He got a touchdown, which saved his fantasy week. But besides that, I mean, there's really nothing special. There's like 35 yards on 5 receptions. So good for my Amon-Ra take, where I thought he would be the wide receiver 3 in Dynasty after this season. But what do you guys think? Do we anyone have some hope for Garrett Wilson this season?
High end number 2. High end wide receiver 2. He's not going to the moon like he would have been with Aaron Rodgers. He was going to the moon with Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
But you're not going to lose too much value, I don't think. He's going to be a WR2 high end, I think.
I was gonna say if you have a win now team, what are you moving him for? Because I mean, it kind of feels like that's where the direction's going. I mean, do you take Pittman in a first to give you the flexibility of the first to be able to go get something else at your trade deadline for your league?
Sending him in a first for like a tier upgrade in wide receiver for a win now seems like a move to me. Like, I don't think it would be Wilson in a first for, a guy that's on the caliber of like a Tyreek Hill, for instance. But if you can give like a little more, I'd probably be doing that to try to win my league. I think Tyreek Hill is going to be absolutely monstrous this season.
I was actually going the other direction, Corey. So you kind of flipped it on me here. I was thinking getting the first in Pittman to be able to give you the flexibility to address any injuries that might happen or upgrade your roster once it comes trade deadline.
I got you. Yeah, it's an interesting discussion for sure. It really sucks, man. Garrett Wilson's one of those guys that I felt was so locked in. And now it's all in turmoil. So yeah, I see some appeal of it. I'm not a huge Pittman guy personally, but if you need points, might not be a bad move.
He definitely has shown elite qualities. I mean, even that touchdown catch yesterday. I mean, that was a terrible throw by Zach Wilson. And Garrett saved him.
That was a miracle catch.
Absolutely. So I think his talent is going to help out a lot. It's going to help Zach Wilson out a lot if they keep him.
Yeah.
Real quick, we got a question from the chat from Austin. Shout out Austin. Thanks for coming on. What are we doing with Garrett Wilson in redraft? Personally, I'm trying to flip him while people are still like hot and bothered by the name and try and go get a competitor. But when you look at the underperformers from week 1, like Devontae Adams didn't do that great. That's really the end of the list for receivers. You could probably go. I would try to trade Garrett Wilson for T. Higgins. That's actually something that's very doable. I think T. Higgins has a continued role in the offense. He had more targets, just it turned into a goose egg. But what are you guys doing? Corey, are you going to hold him or are you going to?
Yeah, I like the T. Higgins take. 0 on 8 targets, I think was his. Like, that's not going to repeat. That whole offense is going to bounce back. I'm pretty confident in that. So if you can kind of capitalize on the touchdown that Garrett Wilson got and kind of be like, hey, still got a touchdown, still might be okay, and flip him into a T. Higgins, I don't hate that at all. I think that, yeah, if you are looking like a team that really just needs that wide receiver bump, especially in a redraft, sending Garrett Wilson away now before it looks worse is probably the move, because I have a feeling it's gonna look worse at like even as soon as next week. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
It's so depressing. This is a depressing topic. I'm telling you,
it really
Garrett
is.
Wilson was so. I wanted to see that. Being a Pats fan, I wanted to see what that boy was going to do this year with A-Rod.
Yeah, I'm not a divisional rival, so your Jets hate is probably more knee deep than mine is. But I'm I'm no lover of the Jets, but I still wanted to see that team with Aaron Rodgers. I thought it was going to be awesome. Just to watch, that whole Monday Night Football game, I could barely watch it. It was hard to stomach after he went down. So really unfortunate. It really, really does suck. If we have anything else about the Jets as a whole, Eric, you got anything?
I was just going to say on the Garrett Wilson topic for the question we got from Austin. How low would you be willing to go on him right now for either a tight end or a running back? Like, what's the level of area? If you had to upgrade another position, you have excess wide receivers. Like, are you thinking of trying to buy early on a Kamara, or is that too little value for Wilson? Are we thinking what we saw from Sam Laporta? Would that be something you would be thinking about in a redraft? Or
I don't think I would be
with the talent of Wilson.
I don't think I can send Wilson for a tight end of that of that tier, and I don't think you're going to be sending him. You're going to have to add, I think, a good deal to get into the tiers of like Kelsey, Mark Andrews, unless someone's like really panicking already on those injuries from them and getting that 0. Tight end, no. Maybe for the running back, I don't hate the Camaro one, to be honest. I think Camaro is going to look great when he comes back.
I'm pretty high on Camaro coming back. What do you think about a Wilson for Pitts in a redraft? That's a really interesting one. All the talent of Pitts, but he just looked terrible.
I don't want to invest. I don't want to invest in the air game on the Falcons.
I don't either. But how far Pitts has fallen is incredible.
Yeah. That is true. Yeah, that is brutal. I think we're all.
He caught more passes than Drake.
Yeah.
Did you guys know Kyle Pitts had 82.5% of Atlanta's air yards? That's not a made up stat. He had 82.5% of their air yards. Incredible. And it resulted in less than 50 receiving yards.
The worst thing, and I texted you guys while we were talking about that game, the worst thing about all this is the Falcons won. So for Arthur Smith and that coaching staff, they're like, it worked. We don't need why change anything. We won the game. Let's keep doing it.
Yeah, that's the worst thing that could happen.
Oh no. Yeah, I really wish the Panthers would have beat the snot out of them just because they aren't using the receiving weapons there at all. But let's keep moving on. We got some more topics here to hit, and we can kind of go through these, I think, a little quicker. Deontay Johnson, hurt, hamstring, bad. You hate to see it, especially with how that offense was looking. I think they could really use a healthy Deontay Johnson. I'm sure Mike agrees. And, hamstring injury this early in the season, who knows how long it's going to linger? Who knows how long it's going to take him to get back? It's just no good. I don't even think you can necessarily say like George Pickens is like a tick up here. Like maybe he can cannibalize some targets, but what do you think, Mike? Is this more of like Calvin Austin maybe sees a little more work for what that's worth? Or...
Yeah, I hate this. So George Pickens is going to play 100% of the snaps that he can. He's only going to come out if he needs a breather. And then it's Calvin Austin, Allen Robinson, and then like Gunnar Olszewski splitting reps. And that's a real thing. Like Gunnar was playing snaps on Sunday to my chagrin. So hopefully this results in a Pickens breakout. But I'm not feeling great. And the Browns defense looked very good against Joe Burrow. So they'll probably continue to look good against Kenny Pickett. And my Steelers Super Bowl hopes are fading quickly. And it's one day after week 1.
I think that'd be all right. I think yes, George Pickens is going to suck for him because they're going to now they're going to be focused more on him. And I didn't want that either, Mike. I like Pickens too. I'm with you. But hopefully they're using Allen Robinson right and putting him in the slot. Y'all could be all right.
Yeah, actually, totally forgot about Allen Robinson. That's a good call. I went straight to Calvin Austin, which it's probably more an Allen Robinson uptick if anything. I maybe like you see a little more receiving work from like Jalen Warren or even Najee. I would like to see a little more passing work from because he wasn't getting anything, but I don't think either of them really fill that Deontay Johnson void. Unfortunately,
it's snaps for Robinson, it's targets for Austin. It's bad for the offense.
Yeah, it's just bad.
Is Pat okay?
Still waiting to see if he's not okay. Darnell Washington is all of a sudden a usable fantasy tight end because there's injuries around him. The Steelers love to feed the tight end the ball. And if somebody's going to catch a touchdown, it's the 6'9", 207,000 pounds tight end.
Like how he's not 6'9".
With some wheels, with a little bit of wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to say 6'9" because it's the funny number. But all right. Well, we'll keep trucking along here. I think, honestly, this one should have probably come second in terms of like priorities of how drastic it is. But J.K. Dobbins, man, I struggle to think of a player that's had worse luck in recent memory with these injuries than J.K. Dobbins. Comes off the ACL tear, looks all right. Hope that this season he can really take off. First game of the season, ruptures his Achilles, probably done forever. Like just probability wise, like I'm rooting for him. I love him. I think he's clearly talented, but the Achilles is a killer. We really haven't seen a player come back from that in any sort of long-term way. We have Foreman is still in the league technically. James Robinson is dead now, which really sucks. I'm struggling to think of the third one.
Cam Akers.
Cam Akers, yeah, who we just saw lose his starting position supposedly to Kyron Williams. So
who runs like a 4.9 40. So
right. So yeah, I don't know. It sucks. I think Mike and Evan sort of mentioned it during their waiver show that came out. This Justice Hill, might be worth a scoop. I still think that like Gus Edwards is on the team and is a little more ingrained, even though he wasn't really used after J.K. Dobbins went out, which was interesting to see. It was definitely more Hill. So there's that. Oh, we got a question here from Austin. Thoughts on possible Jonathan Taylor to Baltimore trade after Dobbins' injury? I think that's very interesting. They could certainly use the help. I think it'd be awesome personally. I don't know if they go and do it. I don't know what the Colts would ask for. Maybe like Lamar and a couple of firsts. But yeah, Preston.
They said, I think I heard this about an hour ago. They said they was gonna keep it in house. They're gonna elevate Melvin Gordon from the practice squad. So I don't know if that's a possibility because Indy wants ridiculous stuff. They're ridiculous. They want. Nobody's gonna pay that crap.
The house for them. You know what? You know what is kind of interesting though. Is week 3. It is Colts at Ravens, and I wonder if there might be a little bit of nodding and handshaking happening if JT is in the building for that one. Will be interesting to see. But yeah, it's tough because the trade seems like the Colts are not going to give any leeway for that to really happen. And the Ravens, like you said, Preston, they are elevating Melvin Gordon. To be honest, I don't think Melvin Gordon has any juice left. I think it'll be largely Justice Hill and some Gus Edwards sprinkled in there. I think it's more likely that they bring in a vet like Kareem Hunt or Leonard Fournette, who might be on the same sort of tier as Melvin Gordon at this point. Who knows? Remains to be seen. But I just don't see, as much as the Ravens would want to add a Jonathan Taylor, I just don't see the Colts like playing ball to give them Taylor when they're asking the Dolphins for like Waddle and a first and all kinds of nonsense.
You know, JK, it's upsetting because I wanted to see what JK could do this season.
Yeah.
But he kind of brought this on himself. He stayed away from training camp all this time trying to get a contract extension or trying to get a bigger contract, and he really ain't proved that. So he missed all that work and all that training camp, and you need that stuff to go up into the season to get this work. And you know, it sucks, man. But I don't know why the hell he was. I don't know what the hell made him think he could hold out anyway.
By that logic, are you thinking that Jonathan Taylor comes back and instantly ruptures his Achilles?
No, but the injury, the risk of something injury like that happening is higher because you're not getting eased into that work.
I feel
you just come. Yeah. What he do like 2 weeks of the last couple weeks of training camp or something?
I think that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And he was already fragile coming off a ACL injury from last season.
Yeah. Yep. I hear you.
Okay. It sucks for him. It really does.
It does. It sucks for the Ravens too. It's very unfortunate. I don't think Edwards and Hill are going to necessarily replace the burst and the explosiveness that Dobbins provided. So
I wanted to see him too.
Yeah. Well, let's keep moving on here. We have just a couple more minor players, I would say, with tight end Greg Dulcich sustaining a leg injury. It seems to be the same leg injury that he was dealing with last year, which is not good. Not good for the Broncos as they shipped off Albert O in the offseason. So their incumbent tight end now is a tight end actually that Sean Payton brought over from the Saints in Mr. Fish himself, Adam
Troutman,
who I used to be kind of interested in just because like he's pretty athletic. He was a Senior Bowl guy in his year where he came out, and he went to the Saints where I thought there was a little bit of an opening there after Jared Cook retired. But I don't think he's shown us anything to get excited about. I think it's just like a big downtick for the Broncos offense in general. Because Greg Dulcich seemed to be a playmaker and a guy that you could really air yards to, and they just do not have that now. So unfortunate. If you're banking on him being that like sneaky outside the top 10 tight end that you could see finish within like the top 8, I think that is looking unlikely because who knows how long this is going to keep him sidelined. Besides that, just one more injury that really piqued my interest was this Kenny Gainwell injury, ribs. It seems to be leaning towards a questionable to game time decision sort of situation for him, which leads me to believe that, I guess it leads me to question, are we going to finally see like a little bit of Swift that we didn't see at all against the Patriots, or are they going to elevate Penny to actually take some work there because they had him as a healthy scratch, or is this a weird sort of Boston Scott takeover that no one is expecting. I kind of want to hear from the resident Philly fan and Evan on this one. Who do you think is going to take the work here? And I mean, are they even worth like a play in the flex slot here?
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to whether Gainwell is actually active, which means you're going to have to be actively watching game time decisions coming up and leading up to it. When they're warming up, they most likely will announce it not that long before the game. They'll most likely announce it right after warmups, somewhere right in there. And looking through all of that, the next one would be probably DeAndre Swift. The coaching staff does absolutely love Boston Scott, and then Penny is probably somewhere in there. You knew this was going to happen, though. The Eagles' backfield, every single one of them is injury prone, and they just went with go get enough running backs that we can sustain somebody in that backfield for an entire season.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. They basically were like, all right, we're not going to have a workhorse guy or even a guy that has the build to sustain a lot of damage. So let's just get all of the weak guys and all of the guys that, maybe one of them will stay healthy enough for us to continue to win games. And, thus far, they won week 1. Sorry, Preston. But we shall see how that evolves. I mean, we can get into that. I don't actually think I have. I didn't even put the Patriots on our segment here where we're going to pre-panic, because I don't think there's any pre-panic necessary for them. They lost the game, but they were in it. Yeah,
we coming.
They were in it.
Mac 10.
Mac 10.
That was a moral victory if I've ever seen one.
But yeah, it really was though. Mac Jones with an offensive coordinator, man. Look out.
Good,
who'd have thunk? All you had to do is have a full staff.
Yeah, not have a weird defensive specialist as your OC. Who would have thought?
Preston, are you even allowed to be a Patriots fan anymore after your terrible take the last time you were on?
Here we go. I knew. I was waiting on it. I was waiting.
Are you even allowed?
Reignite this, guys. Can we just agree to disagree on this one? This will be the rest of the episode.
I was waiting on it. Of course I can. Mac 10 went out there and did his thing. I'm politicking for Mac 10 though. Nah, Gronk is awesome. Gronk has always been awesome, but Chelsea got it. But we're gonna leave it at that. We're gonna leave it at that, Corey.
I like the. I was just reading the Austin Thomas comment.
That's the same thing I said. He did it twice.
That's the routinest of routine catches, and he does it twice. Come on.
He did it twice. He thought he was still in college. Because he got one put in.
You guys have seen Happy Gilmore, I'm sure, right? Just tap it in. Just give it a little tap, tippy tap, tap it in. Come on, man. So brutal. If he gets in, man, that game is way closer than it already was.
We're winning that game.
That's even winning the game. Yeah, possible. Okay. Well, the last thing I'll just fit in here before we move on to our main segment. The Hawks signed 41-year-old Jason Peters, and I don't know why. I guess maybe the thought is he can teach our O-line how to play football, since they supposedly forgot how to do that in this game against the Rams. It looked absolutely god-awful, almost as bad as our defense, which actually looked worse somehow. But you know me, I'm a Hawks fan, love losing. It's great. Everything's great. I'm a huge masochist, so the pain just excites me. And okay, well, let's
Did y'all hear that?
There.
I'm sorry,
no, go ahead.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that sound bite from Gino when that freight train was coming at him?
Oh my god, yes. So I heard that live is the cool part, because I was watching the game, and I heard him say that, and I was like, I leaned back in my chair. I'm like, that was not Geno Smith. He didn't. No, that's not what I want. Don't do that. That's not confidence, man. Come on.
I think that was one of the most relatable things I've ever felt to an NFL player.
Yeah.
Is that exactly
I'm telling you.
Aaron Donald was charging?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
That was also me opening my sleeper app on Sunday night to see that I was playing Tyreek Hill and Tua in the same league.
Oh, I thought you was about to say when I got you in competitors.
Yeah, I have this perfect, beautiful roster. It has Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson. It has every running back and wide receiver you could want. Preston blew the doors off me.
Well, yeah, we didn't even really mention it, but week 1 was like a travesty.
Yeah, it was ugly.
It was gross.
Ugly.
I think that it's not atypical for week 1 NFL to be a little like, I think we were saying the same thing last year probably, but for whatever reason, this year just felt especially yucky. So that
it's any week Hunter Henry is the tight end 1 is just bad.
I mean,
you're gonna see a lot of that. You're gonna see a lot of that.
If you had listened to Chaboy about Hunter Henry, then maybe you would have him on your dynasty teams, because I have a lot. And I got him for free. Tight end 1, no big deal. I didn't start him, but I have him on my roster. So contributing to that max points for, sending my draft picks next year just a little lower. Thanks, Hunter Henry. I like this question. Geno Smith for Zach Wilson. Great comeback story. Continue. Who says no? No. Moving on. Let's get into this segment here, guys, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We talked a little bit about doing a panic segment where we would just really, really overreact on these week 1 teams and see who we're panicking on. Evan sort of, I think, cleared our heads a little bit and was like, it's probably too early to panic on people. So we instead made it a pre-panic segment where we're going to be talking about whether or not we will foresee us panicking on players from these teams in the near future, or if we think they will bounce back and not be any issues. So let's just go ahead and take it off the top here. Let's talk about the Bengals. I think that was one of the biggest surprises that happened, is the Bengals just getting absolutely domed by the Browns defense. Joey Burr looking a little too frosty out there. I think that I'll say just right off the bat here, I'm not panicked. Joey Burr had no preseason snaps, had barely any training camp, shake some rust off, get into week 2. I mean, they're against a Browns defense that is like pretty stout. So I'm personally not panicked, but let's just go again, like round robin here from my screen. It'll be like a clockwise kind of rotation. We'll go to Mike first. What is your panic level for the Cincinnati Bengals?
1, 2 at the most. I mean, Joe Burrow's an amazing NFL quarterback, and Myles Garrett just got after him, a little bit of dribbling between the legs.
Did you see Myles Garrett doing that?
Nasty.
Like, it was so
nasty.
Gross.
But they'll figure it out by October, and then they'll be great for a playoff run. Go send low ball offers while you can. Evan, what you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a 2.5, a little bit more than Mike, but really not much. I just think there was too much pressure on Burrow. I mean, I get it. The Browns defense is good. They are a very solid front seven, but that was the issue that everybody was concerned about. Going into the season, going into last season, it's always been the concern with Burrow, is how's that offensive line going to handle it? And I just didn't feel like they handled it well, so it's not a vote of confidence.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, what about you, Preston?
Go, Preston.
No. Joe Burrow starts off. It seems to be his mantra to start off 0-2. That Cleveland Browns line is serious, and Bengals O-line isn't. So I think it's a 1 for me. Joe Burrow and them will figure it out. They'll be back.
All right, Eric, you have a chance here to be real spicy. Oh, you are muted, sir.
Is there a number lower than 0 for concerned? I am not concerned in the slightest. Joe Burrow did not get any preseason. He was nursing the leg. He was probably a little gimpy on it. Just got this massive contract, which I'm sure had some pressure to it. The Browns historically have had Joe Burrow's number in general. You correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if Joe Burrow's beaten the Browns yet, or maybe he has once. But he always plays very bad against them. And it was raining. It just a weird week 1. Joe Burrow's the second best quarterback in the NFL and a top 5 fantasy quarterback. He's got a great team and great skill position players around him, and I'm not worried at all.
Yeah, Joe Burrow is 1-4 against the Browns.
Okay. I wasn't sure if they won one or not, but I know he plays historically very bad against the Browns.
Okay.
Well, I was going to say that doesn't matter to the Bengals then, because there's no way they're playing the Browns in the playoffs because the Browns won't make the playoffs.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay, well, I
Could
should
be
have
3 coming out of there. Could be 3 coming out of that division.
certainly
And
not the Steelers.
And it still won't be the Browns.
Look, Mike, you never know. The Steelers could be an 8. What would that be? 8-9 team. Be the first
8-9,
time
yeah.
that Mike Tomlin has that losing record.
Oof. Okay. Well, I should have prefaced this before we started the segment, but I basically have this bulleted out as red alert, like the most panicked, an orange alert, like medium panic, or green to go. And it sounds like we're all green to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Sounds good. Ooh. Who just did that? Did you just do that, Mike? Austin Thomas was banned and the comments were removed.
Wait, all I did was click put in timeout. That wasn't on purpose.
Oh, it's so rude.
Oh,
Get my man back in here.
I'm going to work on that. That's bad. Austin said the Steelers had no chance, so I tried to mute him, and I think I just permanently banned our only listener.
Killing me. Oh my god, that's so freaking funny. I can't believe you did that.
And you
Okay.
say I'm bad at technology, Mike. I blame you.
He's gonna I hope he's laughing. I really hope he's laughing. But let's go ahead and keep moving along here. Okay, so next on the list of panic here, we'll talk about one of the Monday night teams. We'll talk about the Beals. Josh Allen, man, not looking the best. I know that he was playing the Jets at home. The Jets have a really, really, really good defense. I've been saying top 5. It might be more like top 3. So there is that. But I think there's I don't know if it pushes it to orange for me. I think I'm still green to go. But the fact that Josh Allen has looked like markedly not as good since Dable left, I think is interesting. But I also think that sort of chalks up to a lot of him dealing with injury last year. So I'm not super concerned. I think I'm still green to go. But what about you, Mike?
I was still trying to figure out how to get Austin back. I didn't hear any of that.
Talking about the Bills, panic meter, go.
0. Next.
Great. Evan.
0. Next. Josh Allen's
Great.
still the man.
Preston.
Orange.
I like it. Okay.
Orange. That AFC East is a problem. It's going to be a problem. And my boys just proved it, that it's going to be a problem in that division. It's going to be hard for Josh Allen to come out of there. It's going to be hard for him.
Okay.
And he can't keep turning that ball over like he's been doing. He can't keep doing that.
Yeah, I
It's
definitely
not.
agree there.
That window for them is closing fast.
They even came out and said, I don't know if you guys saw the comments by McDermott, but they were like, yeah, we need that wide receiver 2 next to Diggs. Like that was basically the quote, which is like, oof, yeah, that seems pretty clearly throwing Gabe Davis under the bus a little bit. But I guess it makes sense because, yeah, they really don't have that wide receiver 2 that is a really great player, and almost makes me think like shame on them for not getting like DeAndre Hopkins when they had a chance to do so. But okay, what about you, Eric?
I want y'all to listen closely. This is red alert for the Bills. Red alert. Red alert on the Bills. Did you guys know in the last 19 football games that Josh Allen has played, he has 38 turnovers? That is 2 a game.
Gracious, no.
19 games, he has 38 turnovers. And then last night, he had 4. Yes, the Jets have a fantastic defense. But with that deflated of a team to not be able to put it on the throat and just chuck that ball up there, I think he was forcing it a lot to Stephon Diggs just because of the issues that they've been having. I think he was trying to make him happy. And I think that could cause more problems in the future. And we don't know if Diggs is going to go off the rails at some point emotionally with this whole thing. I would be very, very concerned as a Bills fan. I did not like what I saw last night. Since Brian Daboll has left the Bills, Josh Allen has slowly been regressing. Is he still a top 5 to 6 QB? Absolutely. But there was a debate 2 years ago was, do we take Josh Allen over Patrick Mahomes? And now it is the debate of, do we take Justin Herbert or Lamar Jackson over Josh Allen? That is what that has turned into, and I would be very, very concerned going forward about the Bills.
Okay. I mean, to be fair, fantasy-wise, even with the stinky game, Diggs was still over 100 yards. I think he still had like 10 receptions. So fantasy-wise, that was still good, but Josh Allen's certainly not paying off with what you had to draft him at in that first outing. So I think it still remains to be seen. Like I said, I want to see them play not, a top 3 defense at home, but I hear what you're saying. You're making a decently compelling case. I do like that you took it one notch over Preston, who I was already like, oh yeah, Preston getting into the orange. And then Eric is just like, let's turn up the heat and go full red alert. That is interesting. Okay. Well, let's keep trucking here. Let's do this next because let's talk a little bit about the Seahawks. I think I'm orange. I think I'm knee deep in the orange right now. That was a really bad game. Basically the worst it could look for us at home against an opponent that, besides Aaron Donald, I could not name a single other defensive player on that team besides Yeast. And I don't know his first name. I just know his last name is Yeast. And I saw his jersey out there on the field when I was watching the game. I was like, Yeast, it's him. It's the guy. And that was about it. Did not expect us to not be able to stop Puka Nacua, who I know Preston was in on, but I was like, come on, we still got Tariq Woolen. We still got Michael Jackson. We still got Quandre Diggs. We got some weapons in our secondary. Still waiting on Devon Witherspoon and Jamal Adams to come back and play. I think that will definitely help us out. How much it helps us out, I don't know, because it seems like we need a lot of help, not just on the defense, but on the offensive side of the football. And when we're talking about fantasy players, name that comes to my mind immediately is Geno Smith, being that like QB2 darling that I think a lot of people were super surprised how he did last year and sort of had him chalked as like an easy peasy slot in QB2 for their fantasy teams. And it was ugly, man. And if we can't beat the Rams kind of, I wouldn't even say mediocre, what was supposed to be like a bad defense at home, that's not good. I am pretty scared about that. Tyler Lockett had a concussion, so maybe that made it a little more difficult. We had Jackson Smith as our wide receiver 2, and he's a rookie. Maybe needs a little more time. But that whole offense just looked stinky, and I'll be the pessimistic Seahawks fan and call it orange. But let's take it to Mike next. What do you think, man?
It's only week 1. If it was week 5, week 6, and this is a continued thing, that's when I would move to the red. But this is like some serious red flags. Austin, thanks for coming back. I'm working on how to unblock you. That was not on purpose. It was just supposed to mute you for a little bit. Still hilarious. But
now know if you're on the RPG podcast comments and you mention something bad about the Steelers, that's a ban.
Never talk bad about my team. I expect no feedback. No, my bad, man. I'm working on it. But as we look at the team as a whole, like they got dominated in every phase of the game. Kyron Williams looks like a real thing. Like the Rams offense is medium. I don't think they were even that good with Matt Stafford last year. So the fact that they looked that good this year, like kind of concerning. But Evan, what you got?
Yeah, I'm going full red alert. They lost both tackles. Questionable for how long both of those tackles are going to be out, which both of them had a chance to make a Pro Bowl this year. They were that good of an offensive tackle duo. They're still without the rookie corner that they drafted, and they're without Jamal Adams in the secondary. So I think all of that combined with the fact that Geno just did not look on top of it. DK looked like he got so frustrated in that game and was just being an absolute child. He wears the pacifier as his mouth guard. He needed that pacifier because he was a big baby on that field. And then you combine that with the fact that they want to run the ball. They couldn't establish the run. They couldn't do anything there. And on top of it, Geno had a bottom 5 ADOT this past week. That's awful. Like, that is not what you expect out of that offense. You expect DK to be a deep threat. He was not. He was non-existent. They were trying to push it. Don't like it.
Okay. Yeah. What about you, Preston? Where you got him?
That I forgot about the 2 linemen going out. I was at an orange, but now I'm at a red because I forgot about it. Yeah, I was never I never believed in the Geno Smith resurgence anyway. That's coming into the season, and DK about to start being a prima donna, and the Rams came up into the 12th man and owned y'all. That's not a good look. That is not a good look. They went out there and went to work. This is not. And then Tyler, you add on Tyler Lockett. We don't know what's going on with him. It's not good unless they need to go back to that smash mouth running that ball, but they can't now because they done lost 2 linemen.
Yep.
So it's gonna be rough sledding because you in that brutal NFC West with them damn Niners.
Oh wait, but Preston though, we got 41-year-old Jason Peters. So like,
yeah, I guess that's okay.
Yeah, right.
It's not good right now.
No, it's not. Eric, what about you, man?
I'm also on the red alert for the Seahawks. With losing those tackles, with just how frustrated a lot of the different players looked out there. Geno Smith already was an average to maybe above average quarterback last year, and he had to have a great running game and a lot of help to do that. If he does not have the help that he needs, I'm just not a big believer that he's talented enough to overcome a lot of those deficiencies. I think he needs everything to be going right. It's only 1 week, and if they can get healthy and get all these players back, they might look a little different, but I would be highly, highly, highly concerned after what I saw last week.
Yeah. Okay. That it hurts my heart to hear you all say that, but I understand. It looked poopy. I'll go ahead and flop my 11, my JSN jersey, because I still believe in his talent. But he's still a rookie, so it might take him a little bit to contribute in a meaningful way. And I certainly don't expect him to save the team. I think that those tackles going out hurts, and it hurts real bad. So let's keep trucking along here.
On the JSN, real quick.
Yeah.
Austin mentioned something about JSN. It was in the comments right there. Can we point out that JSN's ADOT this week was 1 yard, and his air yard percentage was 3%.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is why I'm not. I know, and this is why I'm not specifically in the red yet, is because in that whole second half, I think the Seahawks had 3 yards. So that was I mean, I'm not saying that that's a good thing or anything. I'm just saying that when you only get 3 yards in the second half, your other receiving stats aren't going to look very good. But let's go ahead and move on to let's go ahead and start trashing other people's teams, like Mike's, for instance, and talk about the Steelers. Gravitate away from the Seahawks and talk some Steelers. Mike, I'm going to say right now, I think I'm red, man. I think I'm red alert, especially for the fantasy assets on the Steelers. I'm a little scared. I don't think that they showed me anything that I was super excited for. And we're pre-panicking, right? So I'm not saying that I'm panicked now. I'm not saying that I'm like red alert now, but I'm saying in like 4 or 5 weeks here, if it's looking like Najee Harris isn't that like slated top 8 RB that I think a lot of us thought he was going to be, if George Pickens isn't breaking into that high end wide receiver 2, area where we thought he was going to be, I'm not going to be super surprised. And I think a lot of that is like the Deontay Johnson injury, I think really hurts. I think they're going to be able to put a lot more emphasis on taking George Pickens out of the game by doubling him and whatnot. And Najee just, I don't know, man. I think that your OC, I think we've talked about it. I think he's largely to blame here because I still think Najee Harris is super talented, but they are not using him like he should be used. They're not feeding him the football. They're not allowing him to grind. And with that in mind, like I just fantasy wise, I'm a little scared. I think Pat Freiermuth, if he can come back healthy, I still think you have some hope there as like a top 8 tight end guy potentially. But everyone else, I'm pretty red alert on. But I'm sure you have your own takes. So go for it.
Yeah. I'm not going to say anything about the team, about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to talk purely about the 49ers real quick. Here's a list of their finishes from last season. They beat the Seahawks 27-7. They lost to the Broncos 11-10. 24-9 against the Rams. 31-14 against the Rams. They held the Los Angeles Chargers to 16 points. They shut out the Saints. They held the Bucks with Tom Brady to 7 points. I think you guys get where I'm going here. This says nothing about the Pittsburgh Steelers. If they stink next week, Browns are pretty good. They just held Joe Burrow. Give them 2 games. If after those 2 games, week 3, they still sink, I'm over it. Tank for Caleb. Let's see how it goes. But let's give them a month. All right. There's no reason to panic after playing the best defense in the league, who was just that they were on fire. There's nothing to say about the Steelers there. Evan, what you think?
Yeah, so for me, I think the biggest red alert, they're not red alert team. I think I'm putting them in orange. And mainly it has to do with the fact that Najee Harris only got 53% of the snaps. That's pretty concerning to me. You take a guy in the first round to be your bell cow running back, and you're not even giving him 70% of the snap share in the running back. Pickett, I'm concerned about the development of Pickett. I want to see a lot more out of him. Pickens now, everybody was going crazy for Pickens before this game. Now Pickens is going to go out there and probably be the unquestioned top target getter in that offense this coming week. I think that leads for Pickens' dynasty value to just fly through the roof if he makes a couple incredible catches and he goes for 100+ yards. I mean, people are going to be all in. They already want to be all in on him. So I'm going to go with orange.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's all fair. What about you, Preston?
Hey, I'm still at a green with them because they played the 49ers. They played the 49ers, like Mike said, and I think it's just a few schematic things. Hopefully their OC, that damn OC, hopefully he can tweak that, because I think they do need to run Najee Harris. Najee Harris needs to get his touches, definitely. And they just got to fix some things schematically, like they had to do last year. So hopefully they'll get on board, and Pickens is definitely, they have to feed Pickens the ball more. In the second half, I believe they started feeding him. He got a few more targets than he did in the first half. And, it started to look something like an offense. But, yeah, they just have to feed Najee. Give Najee the ball more.
Yeah,
Let that boy run. Let him run. Like you said, they got him to be a bell cow. Give him his 20 touches.
That was my main push into red for me too. Is I don't know how do you think to not use your first round drafted stud running back more than they did like that? I don't know.
I like Warren. I really do. Yeah. This is not a knock against Warren.
For sure.
I like Warren, but you've got to feed this guy the ball. Let this guy get his 20 touches.
Yeah.
Yep.
Real quick.
He needs to grind.
I don't know if there were 20 touches to give around because the offensive coordinator went run, pass the entire first half.
Literally. Yeah.
So they kept going 3 and out. Like there was no chance for them to get more touches.
Yeah. My take really does pretty much 100% stem from that OC. Because I don't know. I know that it was the 49ers. I totally get that. But they just showed me, they didn't even show me like the ability to adjust a little bit to it and use Najee like he should be used. But we're talking this in circles now. So Eric, you're the last one here. Give us your take.
Awesome, guys.
So I think
I like how Eric keeps like holding the mic like an announcer. He's so funny.
Well, you can hear me better. So I think it
sounds great
on this one, and purely because I don't want Mike to ban me, I'm going to go green on the Steelers. And so for the two eyes, I'm definitely agreeing, but I think I don't want to keep talking in circles, but I'm a red on their offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, which is probably the country you should send him as fast as you can. And the predictability of the offense is insane. It's ridiculous. But I still really like Pickens. I think Pickett is better than people think. Excuse me. Sorry. I still think Pickett is better than people think he is, and I'm green on the Steelers going forward at this point because 49ers make a lot of people look silly.
Okay. Yep, I feel it. Let's keep trucking and continue the dogging on all of our teams on the podcast and switch to the Bears. The Bears looked just as good as last year, to say that they looked just as awful as last year. And that is tough to see, trading a lot away. I mean, to go get DJ Moore, or, you know, I guess they weren't going to necessarily take a QB1. So they didn't, I guess, trade a lot away in that sense. But to do a trade for DJ Moore and then not use him, you know, more than, I think he got 2 receptions for 25 yards. Like that kind of speaks to the passing volume issues that I think we were all sort of predicting, besides maybe Eric. Even the running wasn't there. Like the scrambling for Fields just wasn't really present. And the Packers don't have a defense that I was super worried about. So that was pretty surprising to see. Maybe it chalks up to a Packers still own the Bears even without Aaron Rodgers argument. But I'm pretty worried. I'm pretty red alert on the Bears personally. What about you, Mike?
Just a real dark orange, and I think the running backs are a mess because none of them are going to do enough work. Quarterback's a mess because they didn't have any designed runs for him, and the defense is a mess because they don't have any talent, which is a bummer.
Just to tack on that, I did like a little bit of that usage of Rashawn Johnson. I don't think he's going to be able to be heavily utilized because the Bears are probably going to be down some games, but I love some Rashawn Johnson. I have a ton of him. I was a huge believer even on the Bears. But he's getting receptions. He's getting touchdowns.
Those were super cool box score things. All of them happened in the fourth quarter when the game was out of hand and they took the starters out.
I hear you. Yeah. Yep. Fantasy perspective in general for all those guys, including Justin Fields, who I am now like very, very worried for. I'm red. You are orange, you said? Okay. What about you, Evan?
Yeah, I'm going to go with orange, mainly because I already thought the Bears were going to suck.
Right.
So
I almost didn't
Bears,
put him on the list for that reason.
Yeah, so I thought the Bears were going to be bad to start off the season, and, well, they are bad. So I'm not super concerned, not super panicked. Honestly, I might be more panicked if they were good, because I'd be like, the world is burning. DJ Moore still is not going to have a top 20 season, as I tell Eric all the time. Once again, 94% of the snaps that he played and 4% target per route run. He's running a ton of routes, not getting targets, 6% of the team targets, garbage. Nope, not doing it.
Got it. All right. What about you, Brendan?
Do you like grown men crying?
Oh.
Is that something you like?
I don't want to see you cry, Eric.
Don't answer that, Evan. I'm your lawyer. Don't answer that. Preston, why don't you go for it, my man? I'm
going with an orange. That's that line still sucks. They still haven't. They tried to fix the line a little, but people were still all up in Justin Fields' face. And I'm just chalking it up as with Aaron Rodgers or without him, Packers still just own the Bears. I'm giving, and plus I like Fields, so I'm gonna give him about 2 more weeks.
Robert, Eric, you should be used to it by now, huh? What about you, Eric? I'd love to hear the Bears fans' take on whether we should be pre-panicking.
So rude, Robert. I'll get you for that, but that's okay. So I'm not going to ban you like Mike. Anyway, so throughout this game, I went from green to orange to red to orange to green to orange to red to orange to green. And I just kept bouncing back and forth throughout the whole game.
You're in our text messages, literally like on full tilt and then back to loving it and then on full tilt.
To the Super Bowl. I know. It also is because one of my good buddies, James, came in and he's a Packers fan, and it just led to all sorts of emotions. But from a NFL perspective, I'm absolutely a red on the Bears. They suck. Like, the offensive line is just garbage. But from fantasy perspective, I'm going to say orange. because I do think there's a lot of garbage time points to go around for this Bears team. As much as I like Rashawn Johnson, you guys are correct that they're going to be behind in a lot of games. I don't think he's going to get as much use as we would like to see. But for garbage time, I mean, I think they're going to force feed DJ Moore at some point. They're going to make sure he's happy because they want him around, even if Justin Fields isn't the guy. And I still think you're going to get those couple of games where Justin Fields has 120 rushing yards and a touchdown rushing. Like, that's still good. There's still going to be a few of those games out there, and he'll be like a top 3 quarterback that week because of it. So orange, but don't expect consistency. It's going to be absolute crap weeks, and you're going to have just weeks where they go off, and Bears are going to end up something like 5-12 or 6-11 or something like that.
Like, yeah, I mean, the other thing, just, you know, again, from a more football perspective rather than fantasy, they have a pretty rough schedule too. The next 3 weeks are Buccaneers, Chiefs, and Broncos, who are like, I mean, Chiefs I know aren't what you would think of as like a really scary defense, but they kept the Lions pretty in check, and now they add Jones back. So that is, could be a couple of rough weeks there.
I'm a big fan of the Bill Simmons show. It's something I usually listen to at least like twice a week. He has just really good content, and they're really smart about football. And he was talking about in his preseason thing about how on earth the Bears had the worst record in football and had such a brutal schedule this year. He's like, I don't know who put that together, but that just seems really unfair for the team who finished last. And so we're not getting any favor schedule-wise either. So I'm expecting probably somewhere 3rd or 4th in the division with the Vikings.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think, you know, we're running up on a little bit of time here, so I want to get to at least 1 or 2 more of these, but I just took off the Chiefs because I think we're all going to say the same thing, that we're not worried unless someone wants to take a quick stand for orange or red for the Chiefs, surprisingly. And I'm trying to eliminate at least 1 or 2 more of these. Can we just quickly do a Vikings? Are we worried about the Vikings at all? Anyone want to make a case for orange or red, Mike?
They had 11 one-score wins last year. That's not going to happen again this year. Their defense didn't get that much better. Their offense is already amazing. Orange is an organization, green for fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, we're specifically, let's stick with fantasy, and I think we're all green there for the most part, unless anyone's very much against that. So let's take off the Vikings.
Unless you play in a defense league, then it's 100% red on that defense.
Yeah, definitely. And then the ones that are left here, I mean, should we take away the Panthers too? Are we? I think we're all probably like Bryce Young is a rookie. Their weapons are kind of stinky, probably orange or red for the most part for all of us, I would say. And I don't think there's much discussion to be had.
I don't care about a Panthers player other than Miles Sanders until 2024.
Yeah, we're red on that.
Okay, so let's move on from the Panthers too. That leaves us with 3 teams here. I think this first one will probably go quick too. Broncos. They again just didn't really show up. They get beat by the Raiders, who I don't think any of us were expecting to be a good team at all. The Raiders didn't even play that well, and it was a close game, to be fair. The Broncos kind of did what they did best, and the defense showed up, and the offense was not great. Russ, I think, as a whole, looked a little better than last year, at least. Sean Payton calling the shots. Maybe the offense isn't as stinky, but they don't have Jerry Jeudy. Didn't really feel like the run game got going that well. I mean, P. Ryan had like 70-something yards. Javonte Williams maybe a little slow to start. I think I have him in the orange. Personally, I'm a little worried as a whole just because I don't see them as being a good offense, and I think that'll directly translate to not being good startable fantasy assets week to week. But do we want to kind of quickly do a Broncos check-in? Anyone have them at orange or red or not worried at all?
Orange. Start Javonte when he looks good.
Orange.
Wait and see Jeudy.
Orange.
Yeah.
Yep.
Think orange around the horn there. So let's get into the more juicy one. Let's get into the Giants.
Real quick, Corey, who ran the second most routes on that team? Do you know?
Oh man, off the top of my head, I do not know, but I would expect
Lil Jordan Humphrey.
Okay. Yeah, I did not expect that. I did not expect that name. That is funny. That is very unfortunate. Rough. That is just brutal. I thought it was gonna be like a sneaky, like oh yeah, Samaje Perine actually, like weirdly enough, like one of the running backs. But no, it's yeah, okay, Lil Jordan, very cool. But yeah, like I said, let's move on to I think this is the kind of one we can get some chew out of. I think this is one that we can really gnaw on. The New York Giants, 40-0 against the Dallas Cowboys at home. At the very least, I can be thankful for the Giants. They made me, as a Seahawks fan, feel not quite as bad because we did get beat at home, but we did not get shut out and get 40 points scored on us. So we have that going for us, which is great. But yeah, man, Giants looked like they were in big trouble. And I might be, maybe I am the sole one here. I'd love if more people agreed with me on this. I'm not worried yet. I think I'm still green to go on the Giants. And I think the Dallas Cowboys are just that defense, personally. I think that Micah Parsons and Diggs are absolute monstrous studs. DeMarcus Lawrence are all just really, really, really good. I think that defense is put together really well. I think they're almost put together in a way that is a direct counter to the Giants. Daniel Jones couldn't get going. Waller couldn't get going. And so I want to see another couple weeks from them before I go panic mode. But what do you guys think? Mike, you panicking on pre-panicking on the Giants yet after that blowout loss? Oh, I don't think Mike heard me because cans were off. Mike, Giants, go.
Daniel Jones is my sweet prince. Saquon Barkley, you'll start him every week. I'm concerned, but not terrified. Orange.
I think maybe you missed it a little bit, but my whole spiel was I think the Cowboys defense is just really that good, personally.
I can't talk out of both sides of my mouth and be like, oh, I'm not worried about the Steelers, but I am worried about the Giants. So, yeah, I get you. Same page.
Yeah. Okay. Evan, what about you?
Yeah. If they're awful this coming week against the Cardinals, I will be bright red with that panic button. Until then, I would say I am in between a green and an orange, so let's call it yellow.
Okay. Yeah, sneaking in the yellow. All right. What about you, Preston?
Yeah, I'm orange. That defense, that line was too much for the Giants' whole line. Them guys stayed up in Daniel Jones' face all game. I'm an orange. They're able to get it together.
Okay. And Eric?
I would agree. I think I'm an orange. Micah Parsons is an alien and is absolutely disgusting. And I don't think anybody or sets of three linemen can block him. It's insane to watch. I think the Dallas defense could be one of the best defenses we've seen since that 2000 Ravens, 2006 Bears type. Not saying they're that good, but I think it might be one of the best since those. They are insane. I want to see 1 or 2 more weeks before I'm that concerned because I still think they can put up fantasy points. And Saquon should be an every week starter no matter what, as long as he's healthy.
Right. Okay. Well, then let's finish on the Titans, who were just completely, utterly putrid. I couldn't stomach watching them even on Red Zone, and they weren't on much of Red Zone at all. They lose to the Saints. Close game, to be fair, but the offense of the Titans cannot be credited with that at all. Tannehill looked like garbage. They couldn't get anything going on the run game. I liked seeing Tajay Spears out there a lot in the snap count. That was cool to see, right, Mike? But other than that, there was nothing to love about this Titans team. And I think my preseason take of the Titans having the worst O-line in the league, which, I think I share that take with a lot of people, but I was firm on that. And it is looking real. They look absolutely awful. I am full red alert. I think that if you still have Titans on your fantasy roster, I'm so sorry, because I don't even think you're going to be able to trade much or trade them away for much. I don't think your return is going to be that good at all. So rough, like maybe worth a very low ball chance on Derrick Henry because he usually gets hot later. But with that O-line, I don't know. And who is that puppy? Which one was that?
That was Ash. They've been menaces to Olivia while I've been sitting in here. She agreed to an hour. It's over an hour.
Yeah. Yep. There they come. Okay. Well, that's where I'm at I'm a deep blood red. What about you, Mike?
I am very concerned for Derrick Henry that Tyjae Spears is taking more snaps than him. The pass catchers are in a just terrible situation. I don't love 30-year-old receivers in bad offenses. This is a Devontae Adams take, but just the only upside for Dynasty even is Tyjae Spears and hope that he takes the full backfield in 2024. So red
alert. Yeah. Okay. Evan.
We're going with orange mainly because we knew the offensive line was going to be garbage this year. DeAndre Hopkins coming in, it looked like Tannehill was trying to force feed the ball to him. I'm very concerned for the usage of Treylon Burks. They were just not getting in the ball at all. Derrick Henry, if you can go buy him for a second, definitely would be buying him for a second, in my opinion, on a win now team. Give me a playoff second. Like, I am 100% selling my playoff second to be able to go buy Derrick Henry if somebody's going to bite for that because of the snap usage right now, because of the bad offensive line. So Tannehill looks awful. We expected Tannehill to be awful. The Titans, I already made a mention that I think the Texans are going to come in second in that division this year. So, yeah, obviously that means I think the Titans are going to be bad, and they proved it. Their defense was still very good, though.
Quick question just before we move on. Are you feeling like a Tannehill getting sit situation for the Titans in a couple weeks here?
I mean, it depends. They're not. I don't think they'll sit him because of bad play. I think they'll sit him because of the record and wanting to see what they have in the other two guys.
Okay, cool. What about you, Preston?
Red alert.
Red. Yep.
Yeah. I don't see. I give him 3-4 weeks, then see what you got in lettuce. I think that O-line is terrible. See what you got in these rookies, man. See what you get. See, let Tyjae Spears get the burn and bring in your boy Levis. See what you got. That offense is horrible. It's not good at all.
Is there anything to like if they really just don't win games for 5-6 weeks, is there a Derrick Henry trade that you guys sniff at all? Is that anything?
I could see that. I would. That'd actually be I wouldn't mind the move. That'll be a good move.
Being here in Nashville, I can tell you everybody loves Derrick Henry, and everybody will revolt if he gets traded. Him and Jeffrey Simmons, those are about the two players that everybody in Nashville knows.
It would also even me saying that, it's like, what are teams in the NFL going to give to a 29-year-old running back in this running back landscape that the Titans are going to feel okay with?
I mean, probably Jalen Waddle. Nothing crazy.
Yeah. Well, and a first. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's end it on you, Eric. What's your steaming hot Titans take?
I'm green. No, okay. I'm definitely red on the Titans.
Wait, say your
Wouldn't surprise me.
Eric, say
no,
that
I'm
you're
definitely
green
red
real
on the
quick.
Titans. The Titans are terrible.
Just say it real quick.
Titans are green.
Okay, now
waiting for that. That's wild. So no, they're definitely red. It's like Tannehill does not look good. I think he's kind of hit his wall, but there's not even really help coming. I mean, we saw that they didn't even trust Malik Willis to throw a pass last year, and I don't think Will Levis is very good either. And they don't have a line to help them out. I mean, Derrick Henry's still a beast, but if everyone can cue in on him with him being a little bit older, what are you going to do? And same thing everyone said about the wide receivers. I don't think there's hope on the horizon for them. Do I think they can look a little bit better? I guess. But I'm not a believer in anything the Titans are selling. And in a redraft, I'm staying away from everything. And in a dynasty, if you can get Spears for a decent price, that might be someone to invest in, like Mike's been banging that drum for. But other than that, I don't think I want anybody.
We're pretty much... Who just did that? I need to take away Mike's admin powers. Mike is out here flushing toilets and banning our viewers. Mike is a menace for the RPG podcast. Well, okay, so it sounds like we're all red except for Evan, who's orange just because he knew they were going to be bad. Yeah. Times on Red Zone is the bathroom break. Didn't have a lot of it, so hope you have a champion bladder because I don't think you're going to be seeing much of them on red zone going forward. But okay, that takes us to the end of the segment, guys. Those were all of our teams that I thought, we could have the conversation of whether or not to pre-panic. I don't know if I really left anyone out that comes to mind. I think I did a pretty good job corralling it. But yeah.
Can I get one quick one?
Get it.
What's y'all panic level on the Patriots? Real quick, go.
Oh, I mean, I said it before.
Panic
Patriots
level on
aren't even on the list. Patriots aren't even on the list for me. I am not panicking.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they showed me that adding big B.O.B. there is already doing wonders for Mac Jones against the Eagles' top 5 defense. Like I loved it. I love seeing that.
Yeah, they're going to crush my expectations for them this season. They're going to finish 7-10 and 3rd in their division. It's awesome. Really excited.
The biggest crusher for them is I'm like, yeah, of course Ezekiel Elliott is like washed. Oh no, dead wrong. He's out there. He's getting work. He's an integral part of the friggin' Patriots crew. Of course I'm wrong on that. So that was the biggest surprise to me. But if they can utilize Ezekiel Elliott and make Kendrick Bourne score some touchdowns and against the Eagles, like, yeah, I'm anti-panicking.
Well, green is a team. Orange for fantasy. I wanted Stevenson to get 100% of the carries, but we're way over on time. Evan, you want to go?
Yeah.
No, I really don't need to go. Patriots look fine. I appreciate the resiliency of them, and great to see Mac has an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. They would look better with the best tight end ever, Rob Gronkowski, but they look good.
And with that, what better time to call it an end for this week's episode of the Fantasy Football RPG Podcast. I really appreciate everyone who stopped by and checked out the live stream. I saw some eyeballs up there, more than we usually have. So that was really nice to see. Appreciate Austin coming in here with some questions, Robert with some really fun comments there as well. And just appreciate everyone stopping by and checking us out. Till next week, guys. Goodbye.